Following a decades-long golden age of peace and prosperity, King Jaehaerys the Conciliator died in 103 AC and was succeeded by Viserys Targaryen, who broke tradition and established precedent to name his sole surviving child, Princess Rhaenyra, heir to the Iron Throne. Yet this decision was undermined when the king's wife died and he married young Alicent Hightower, who birthed 4 children, including 3 boys, as potential successors. Though Viserys reaffirmed Rhaenyra's place as heir, a rivalry grew between the Blacks for the Targaryen princess and Greens for the Hightower queen, seeking to make her eldest son Aegon the next king. When Viserys died in 129 AC, the Greens usurped the Iron Throne, declaring Aegon king of Westeros, while on Dragonstone, the Blacks crowned Rhaenyra, beginning the Dance of the Dragon civil war. Seeking allies, the Blacks sent the Queen's eldest son Jaehaerys on successful diplomatic missions to the Vale and North, while her second son Lucerys failed to win over the Stormlands and was killed by Aemond One-Eye in the dance over Shipbreaker Bay. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra's husband, Daemon Targaryen, flew directly to Harrenhal, where after winning the Battle of the Burning Mill and taking the castle's Stonehenge, the Blacks claimed the Riverlands for the Queen. In the capital, the newly made hand of the king, Sir Criston Cole, alongside King Aegon on Sunfire and Aemond on Vhagar, led an army through the Crownlands toward the Riverlands, resulting in the battle at Rook's Rest, where they killed Rhaenys Targaryen and her dragon Meleys. Although Aemond and Vhagar emerged unharmed, Sunfire tore a wing, while Aegon suffered burns and broken bones, leaving his brother as regent and protector of the realm. Shaken by this loss, the Queen's heir, Prince Jaehaerys, named Corlys Velaryon Hand of the Queen, sent their younger children and dragons to safety and raised an army of dragon riders through the sowing of the seeds, promising land, riches, and knighthood to anyone, commoner or noble-born, who successfully bonded a dragon and fought for the Blacks. Over in the Narrow Sea, the Green Allied Triarchy of Essos sent 90 ships to break the Velaryon sea blockade around the capital and happened upon Rhaenyra's sons sailing to Pentos, capturing Viserys and his dragon egg, while Aegon mounted a wounded Stormcloud, who flew his rider to Dragonstone before passing away. Though Jaehaerys and the Dragon Seeds defeated this fleet in the Battle of the Gullet, the prince and his dragon Vermax were lost in the fighting. Over in the Reach, as House Hightower held significant regional power in the south, and even hosted the king's youngest brother Prince Daeron alongside his dragon Tessarion, they naturally expected the territory to declare for King Aegon II, but instead it fractured, with the houses Rowan, Tarly, Beesbury, Caswell, Costain, and others declaring for the Blacks, while House Tyrell of Highgarden remained neutral. Therefore, Lord Ormond and his Hightower army would have to fight their way through the Reach before linking up with the forces of Criston Cole headed for the Riverlands. Determined to whittle down Green forces before a direct confrontation, the two Allens, Alan Tarly and Alan Beesbury, used guerrilla tactics to raid Hightower camps, kill scouts, and set fires, while Lord Owen Costain harassed the enemy baggage train. Under attack for months, the weakening Greens learned a sizable army was marching against them, and so set up defensive positions along the Honeywine River. Knowing they faced a dangerous threat, Lord Ormond Hightower sent messages to the capital asking for help from their dragons, but the Prince Regent Aemond One-Eye did not think the Reach a priority, and instead focused their efforts on taking Harrenhal and the Riverlands. Roughly 2 weeks after the Battle of the Gullet, the Blacks and Greens of the Reach met in the Battle of the Honeywine, with the Hightower army facing Lord Thaddeus Rowan and the Bastard of Bitterbridge Tom Flowers leading an army of mounted knights from the north, while the two Allens and Lord Costain marched their forces from the south, cutting off any possible retreat to Old Town. Outmaneuvered and outmatched, the Greens were on the verge of total defeat, when suddenly 15-year-old Daeron Targaryen arrived on his dragon Tessarion and turned the tide of battle against the Blacks. Seeing their forces burn under dragonfire, the two Allens were captured, while Tom Flowers was killed in the fighting, and Lord Costain mortally wounded by bold John Roxton wielding the Valyrian steel sword Orphanmaker. Though Lord Rowan escaped with the remnants of his army, the Greens soon controlled most of the territory, forcing the submission of houses Rowan, Oakhart, and the Lords of the Shield Islands. Shaken by this and other defeats, Lord Bar Emmon on Dragonstone suggested surrender and bending the knee to Aegon, but Rhaenyra, after losing 2 sons, would not hear of it and vehemently continued the war. Hailed as a hero, Prince Daeron the Daring was knighted by Lord Ormond Hightower with the Valyrian steel sword Vigilance, and under his leadership, their army went on to besiege Longtable and sack Bitterbridge, marching forward until facing a Black Allied army from the Riverlands in the First Battle of Tumbleton. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Mamoru, the obscured hermit alchemist, Kurgan the Immortal, Griffin Giant's Hammer, and Dane Battlehammer. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.